I went to this one meeting, 100 people in the room, 90% of them were complaining of Booking.com, complaining about Expedia, complaining about this new thing called Airbnb. I just asked this very naive question, like, well, what are you doing to get your own bookings? Everybody just looked at me like a blank expression, I got to a point in the season where I just wished that somebody would just have a piece of paper stapled to my head with the most common questions that a guest had. Because I could just stand there and they would just, be able to read it. You can hire people, absolutely, to do it. But now there's an AI bot. I could literally, that house over the road, it's up for rent at the moment. I could go, listen, I'll rent this off you and I'll rent it on Airbnb. Sound good, brilliant. I can go get pictures done today on my phone, go list it on Airbnb. It's live tomorrow. I could have people in it tomorrow. There has to be something done about that to turn this into being more professional. Regulation is a good thing, yes, but fair regulation. The next thing and the next evolution of this, truly, I think is
Property management at scale is about more than just rent rolls and maintenance calls. It's about protecting your assets, delivering stellar guest experiences, and scaling operations without losing quality. Welcome to Minute by Minute, the show where industry leaders share unfiltered stories, proven strategies, and real solutions for operating at scale. I'm your host, Nils Mattisson, CEO of MΗNUT, and together we will dive deep into what it really takes to keep your properties safe, efficient, and protected. Let's get started. Today I'm joined by Mark Simpson, founder of Boostly and one of the most vocal and influential advocates for direct bookings in the short-term rental industry. Mark has spent nearly a decade helping hosts and property managers reduce reliance on OTAs and increase the volume of direct bookings to get by building their own websites, marketing funnels, and brands. Through Boostly, he's played a direct role in generating over 1 billion in direct bookings and in pushing the industry toward greater independence and professionalism. Mark is also a board member of the Short-Term Accommodation Association, STA, where his work focuses on education, AI-driven innovation, and providing strategic support for independent hosts and property managers. In this conversation, we'll explore the philosophy behind the Book Direct movement, the trade-offs between convenience and control, how marketing and AI are reshaping hospitality, and where Mark believes operators are getting it wrong and right as the industry evolves. Mark, welcome to Minute by Minute. It's great to have you here.
Yeah, what a lovely intro. Thank you very much.
Let's start with your journey. You've come from hospitality operations and sales into becoming one of the loudest voices in direct bookings. What first made you question the OTA first model, and how did Boostly come out of that?
Yeah, so I'm one of these rare breeds in our industry where I was born into it. So I grew up on a 200-acre farm in the middle of North Yorkshire. Our place is in between Scarborough and Whitby, two of the most tourist destinations in the United Kingdom. And I was just so used to having strangers in my house the whole time. Like we were a 4-bedroom guest house that turned into 14, and there was 3 holiday cottages as well. It was a tea rooms, it was a restaurant, it was like an open farm. So like people came in from all over. So we were just so used to having thousands of people on our farm, and I was just so used to having strangers in my house. And I grew up. My pocket money was making beds. My pocket money was doing breakfast, working the tea rooms. So when I got to 2021, I wanted to do one thing and one thing only, and that was escape. So I wanted to play football. So I'm a big football fan, big Liverpool fan. There was a problem with that. I'm crap at playing football. So I started coaching. So I got my coaching qualifications, had a great time doing that. And then I had an opportunity to work in America. So all of the noughties, I was pretty much traveling backwards and forwards from America, doing 6 months there, 6 months here. I had a fantastic time doing it. But at some point in those noughties, my parents came to me and said, what are you doing with your life? And so came back to England. Had a little stint in London. That's where I learned marketing and sales at Quite, which was then acquired by Yelp, the big review site. Loved sales and marketing. I was like really intrigued with it all because obviously social media was taking off then, and obviously Google was doing what Google things does, and it ended up with me coming back into the family business because my parents were getting to an age where they wanted to look at retiring, and they didn't have a clue about anything online. Like they didn't have a PMS. They had a calendar. They had like a book that they put all their bookings in. So it was, scribbling out everywhere. It was Tipex everywhere. And so my job was to help them get online. And I learned what I put in London and I put it into the business. So we got it all online. We got a property management software set up. We got a website. We did social media. And within 18 months, we managed to take 20, 30 years of offline word of mouth and we put it all online, which was really cool. So we very quickly became one of the top 3 places on TripAdvisor in the whole of the county, which is Yorkshire, which, in 2013, 2014, TripAdvisor was everything. Now, maybe not so much. We were the most followed independent business in Scarborough on Facebook, which was great. And all of that basically meant that our direct bookings were always around 60, 70, 80%. And so it got to 2016 and I read this book by Tim Ferriss called The 4-Hour Workweek. My friend gave it to me. I don't know if you've read it, but a lot of people know about it. It's a very big book and it opened my eyes to the world of virtual assistants, to the eyes of, not working really hard, because I'm from a Yorkshire family. I think the Yorkshire backbone is that everybody wears this busy badge on their sleeve, if they want to be working busy, working hard. And I was like, oh, there's another way of doing this. Because at that point, me and my wife, we had our second child and, we barely saw each other because it was so busy in that business. And I hired my first virtual assistant and it was like opening a box of Pringles, once you start, you can't stop. And so I was able to hire enough virtual assistants to do my day-to-day that I was able to like step out of the business, which was cool. And at that point, I started going to other hospitality association meetings. And that was cool because I got to meet other hospitality owners, other hospitality managers, whether it was a bed and breakfast, hotel, or rental accommodation. And I went to this one meeting and they used to meet every 3 months. And at this one meeting, it was about marketing. And like 100 people in the room, 90% of them were complaining of booking.com. They were complaining about Expedia. They were complaining about this new thing called Airbnb. And I just asked this very naive question in this room. I was like, well, what are you doing to get your own bookings? And everybody just looked at me like a blank expression, And so I just said, well, we have got 70, 75% direct bookings. We do it because of social media, email, etc. And they just looked at me with a blank expression. I said, well, I can show you what I do. As I said, come round to the business one night after we finish. And I'll show you. And like 5 people came out of the 100. And those are the first 5 people I ever taught. I just showed them what I did. And that sort of 5 people turned into a Facebook group called the Hospitality Community, which still goes around to this day. And, I created that Facebook group just for Scarborough and Whitby. But with Facebook and anything online, anything that is good is going to attract people from outside. So we had people from like Scotland wanting to join, people from, London, down south wanting to join. And then bizarrely to me, people from Germany, France, Spain, America, New Zealand. And before we knew it, we've got 1,000 people in that group. So that was that light bulb moment where I was like, okay, there's something here. And every single day I was showing up, every single day I was answering questions. It got to a point where I was answering more questions from hosts about marketing than I was our guests. So it was at that point I thought, well, let's do something. And, I spent days trying to think up of a name, spent days trying to figure out what it's going to be. My wife gave me the idea of Boost League, which is short for Boost Hospitality. So not a lot of people know that. And yeah, I started working one-on-one with a few hosts. I hated one-on-one. I couldn't stand it. So I wanted to take it to a one-to-many model. And so I just recorded myself for like a month doing every task I could possibly think of when it came to marketing, put it all on this coaching course, which was called Thinkific. I asked for, I had this 1,000-member group. I said, listen, I've got this thing. I need 5 guinea pigs to test it. 5 people put their hand up. And that was the start of Boostly. And then 10 years later, it's evolved and pivoted so much over this time. But yeah, it's grown to 2,000 customers. Yeah, we've done some pretty cool things over this time.
I love how you tell the story. It almost sounds inevitable, but I'm sure, like when you took each step, it maybe didn't feel like that. But your exposure to review sites and Yelp, and then your family business, it's all coming together really well.
Yeah, Yeah, I think as well, it's mad because I did a lot of coaching with the soccer coaching, with the football coaching. I wasn't coaching, boomers or Gen X. I was coaching like 4 or 5-year-olds when I was doing that. But it's weird that the skills that you learn with coaching that you can apply to this. Patience is definitely one that you learn over time, but yeah, no, it is funny how it all transpires. When if I hadn't have come back to the UK when I did in 2009, who knows? I'm maybe still out coaching football now in America.
Yeah, it seems like you've picked up all the right skills for Boostly. So talking about like that light bulb moment, and when you started talking to hosts, and a lot of them didn't have the direct bookings that your business had a benefit of, maybe because of the history as well. What do you think these hosts missed when they sort of entered this relationship with an OTA and became very, very dependent on them?
Yeah, I mean, I've said this a lot, and I really emphasize this point probably more over the last 5 years, especially with COVID. And the reason being is that when you come into the world of hospitality, so when you decide that hospitality is the business you're going to go in, there's no other industry like it. We are in the industry of selling memories, right? Selling experiences. And, you don't get that in any other industry, right? When you open up an Amazon shop, the people don't absolutely love and remember going and purchasing what you're selling on that site, right? But with hospitality, we do. And we're also very lucky that when you start a business in hospitality, you've got all these plates that you're spinning, all these things that you got to do. And that one plate on marketing and sales, you can just go, I'm going to give that to Airbnb. I'm going to give that to Booking.com, Expedia, because you can start a business today, go and take pictures of a property today, put them on your iPhone, go upload it to Airbnb, and be pretty much, depending on your market and time of the year, guaranteed to get revenue coming in and bookings. That's just how it's worked. Especially more so 2021, 2022, when the whole world was turned a little bit upside down with travel restrictions and whatnot. And because of that, because of all of the things going on, if you can just leave a sales and marketing plate spinning to like Airbnb, Booking.com, and Expedia, hosts do that. Now, there's no other industry like it. Like when you start, like MΗNUT, for example, there's no website that you can go and list MΗNUT on or go list Boostly on that you can guarantee to get revenue coming in. We've had to drag people kicking and screaming to come and use our service. We've had to build the brand. We've had to do all these things. But with hospitality, it's not the case. That's a blessing. But the curse is that these hosts, these business owners have just become so reliant on that plate spinning from Booking.com, Airbnb, Expedia, is that they become over-reliant, and then they become lazy, and then that plate stops spinning. And that's when they go, oh shit. And that's when they come to me, because that plate can stop spinning for a number of reasons, right? It used to be that you'd drop off the page one of their listings for whatever reason. You could get a couple of bad reviews, or at the moment what's happening, because these companies are so big, and because AI has become so prevalent in these companies, they're handing off all operations to an AI bot or somebody in a call center who hasn't got any common sense. And what's happened a lot recently, which means our calls are getting booked more and more and more, is that when there's a problem with a guest, they're instantly getting favored upon with the guest and not the host. So as an example, 2 weeks ago, a host that I spoke to in Nashville, they had their listing suspended for 6 weeks because the guest complained to Airbnb that there was a camera in the property. Now, cameras in the properties obviously is a no-no. It's against all T's and C's. But this camera in question was a Ring camera, one of those doorbell cameras, which is obviously allowed. Now, somebody with common sense would go, that's fine. But because of the guest complaint and it was a robot or it was somebody in a call center, didn't have a clue what they're doing, they didn't even speak to the host. They just suspended the listing bar investigation. And that host was cut off for 6 weeks before it came back on. Now, this host was doing an arbitrage, a rent to rent, where they paid a landlord and then they got to put it on Airbnb. And they were out of action for 6 weeks. That's no revenue, no bookings, no future bookings. And, you've got bills to pay. And this is the relationship that people have right now with the OTAs. And that's just one example. Obviously, last year, Airbnb put the fees up. They changed their policies. They're making it harder and harder for hosts. And now is where I see the mindset shifting from a lot of people, especially in America, where they're just Airbnb, they're just one platform, or they're just OTAs, and they're now going, listen, if I want to be here next year, if I want to be here in 5 years, or if I want to potentially sell this thing one day, I need to sort of bring in direct bookings in. And we've just positioned ourselves nicely over the last 10 years to be the company where they go to.
Yeah, we hear similar stories at MΗNUT where guests, sometimes I would say even slightly fraudulent, like they will make a claim about something, and in the absence of information, the OTA almost always sides with the guest, because that is like their, in a way, like actual customer. And so I think that's a wake up call for many when that happens the first time. But now you've generated over $1 billion in direct bookings, which is an incredible number. What separates the hosts who are successful in this versus the ones who struggle?
Yeah.
Apart from Boostly.
Well, even if people join Boostly, I mean, this is a problem that I have with a lot of people, and this is why we've pivoted our platform over the years. So predominantly what we do is, I think we've been known as the website designers, right? And people come to us and they go, right, I'm going to get a direct booking website from Boostly. This is going to be my magic wand. I'm just going to set up a website and not do any marketing, and I'm going to get all these bookings, right? Because as I say, the numbers are pretty cool. Like they see the top line numbers, $1 billion in bookings over the last 10 years. You know, on average, our clients have a 59 times return of investment. We guarantee, you know, a return on your investment, and you know the numbers stack up. What separates the people from those who do well and get to like 65% direct bookings, say, or the ones that don't, is the ones that don't, they literally get the website from Boostly, and I speak to them maybe 6 months down the line, and they go, Mark, I've had no bookings from Boostly. Boostly's a scam. I don't like it. What are you doing? I want my money back. And I go, well, okay, let me have a look at your CRM. So one of the things that we started to do a couple of years ago is we put all of our clients on a CRM called Go High Level. Now, Go High Level is amazing. I have an agency account and I can set up sub accounts for each one of our clients. So every single one of our clients has email marketing, social media marketing built in. We've set it all up. All they literally have to do is log in and use it. We've even given them templates, you know, social media templates, email templates. We've created automations and workflows, funnels, everything. All they have to do is log in and use it. And if a customer comes to me and they go, I've not had one booking from Boostly, I go look at their CRM. I can log in from my overview, go look at their account, and I'll go, well, dude, you've sent one email in 6 months, or you've done 2 social media posts, and like they go, oh, just got busy, and that is literally what separates. Where the people who do well, they show up every day, and I'm not asking them to invest. You know, I'm not going to be one of these gurus that says, you know, you got to, you know, eat glass, you got to be on the computer 16 hours a day, you know, you got to be doing all these things. I just say, listen, just give me an hour. You know what I mean? Give me an hour. There's a fun stat that if you apply 18 minutes a day over a course of a year to one core thing, whether it's emails or social media or whatever, if you do it consistently every day for just 18 minutes, you actually come in the top 5% in the whole world in that discipline, whatever you want to put it into, right? And I say that to people and they go, oh, I can't even find 18 minutes. And I go, dude, if you can't find 18 minutes in your day, give me your phone, show me your screen time, go show me how much time you binge TikTok a day. Your time's there, you're just allocating it wrong. So that is truly what separates those that do really well and those that don't. And, you know, I've seen it, you know, time and time again. I'm very lucky now that we've worked with over 2,000 people, with over 10,000 listings have come through us, all these bookings, all this data. And, you know, end of the day, the data doesn't lie.
Yeah, technology alone is seldom enough. You definitely need the entrepreneur to actually drive things forward as well. I would say that's a truth that goes a lot beyond our own businesses here.
Mm-hmm.
And you've seen a lot of momentum over the last few years. Why do you think the industry has become more receptive to this message now compared to 5 years ago?
Yeah, well, I think that number one, it's everybody says this industry is getting harder, right? So people who came into this industry 2021, you were just so used to just the big numbers, the big returns, right? And a lot of people who weren't here in 2018, 2019 don't realize that it is what it is. Everything's course corrected. So everybody complains it's harder, more competition, more harder rules. It's just more honest. That's literally what it is, right? And people are realizing now that they can't be so reliant on these platforms. And I do honestly think the mindset shift has happened where instead of them looking at it as the be all and end all, they're looking at it as a marketing channel. And not only as the business owners or the hosts done that, but also guests are getting savvy. Maybe not the boomers or the Gen X's, maybe not even the millennials, but these Gen Z, they are very, very clever when it comes to finding a place to stay now. They're not just going straight onto Airbnb and just booking it. They haven't got that brand loyalty that I feel like elder millennials, Gen X or boomers have. They just want to have the best place and the best experience and the best stay. They don't care Booking.com, Airbnb, Vrbo, or direct. And there was a really cool trend on 2024 on TikTok where travel content creators were showing their followers how to find the best rate when booking a trip. And that trend got millions of views. Like one person talked about it, then the other person talked about it, and it went to all of their followers. And it got huge, so much so there was a tool that created on the back of it called Directo, Pierre at Directo. I don't know if you've had him on or used the tool, but it's a Google Chrome extension that sits on your Google Chrome. And if you're on Airbnb and if there's a better price elsewhere, it will tell you on the Chrome. And that has had over 300,000 downloads, like loads of visitors, which is great. So it shows to me that from both the angles, from the guest and from the host, the business owner, the mindset has definitely sort of started to change. And yeah, personally speaking and selfishly speaking, it's amazing because now when people do look for direct bookings, whether you're doing it on a Google search, Bing search, or in your favorite LLM of choice, Boostly's right there at the top because of like these last 10 years of compound effect of what we've been doing.
Do you see any scenarios where Book Direct isn't the right thing for either a host or for a guest?
So for the guest, well, first and foremost, if I, as a guest, am looking for a place to stay, and obviously I know how to find a place direct, right? I do this all the time. If I go onto their direct booking website and the price is more expensive on the direct booking website than it is on Airbnb, I'm going to go book on Airbnb, right? Or even worse, if they haven't got a direct booking solution. But for the most simplest one, if I go on their direct booking website and it's turning out more expensive direct than it is to book on an OTA, I will go book on Airbnb and I'll message them afterwards and go, dude, look at who I am, look at what I do, what are you doing? Book a call. That's my best lead gen is when I'm traveling. So that's from a guest point of view. From a host, I always say if you're a hobbyist host, there's no point. Right? If you're literally doing this as like a second or third or fourth income stream, or if it's just something that you're doing just to earn a little bit of money over the summer, if you're not bothered about this being your proper business, that you want to scale it and grow it and turn it into something, don't worry about direct bookings. Just pop it on the OTAs or just go and hand it over to like a management company and let them do it for you. But if you are looking to be serious on this, and if you actually are wanting to make this into a business and be your main income driver for you and your family, then you'd be foolish to not be looking at doing direct bookings.
Would you say that even for trying to generate return bookings, because that's something that I hear from our customers, that it's sort of often a place where people start, it's a little bit easier. And of course, like as a host, when you know the guest, you can feel a little bit more comfortable, maybe accepting someone coming back.
I mean, yeah, repeat guests are awesome because you've already knocked over that main barrier, which people don't know you, people don't trust you. If it's a first-time customer and if they don't know you, so they've not experienced you, and again, back to what I said at the start, you're in the industry of selling memories, right? So people will physically walk into your property, they'll physically experience it. If they've already done it, it's easy. You can reach out to them through whatever method that you've managed to get their data from, and you can say, hey, if you ever want to come back, give me a call. Here's my website. Email me. right? You already know the property, you know the brand, you know how good we are. Next time, come direct and I'll save you 5%, 10%, or you'll get these extra perks. Super simple. That's an easy way to start. But there's also ways you can do it for the first time as well. And there's loads of ways to do it. I speak to it every single day with our members. I wrote a book on it. There's 101 marketing tactics in the Book Direct Playbook, the book that I released 2022. So there are so many ways to do it. But if you're wanting the simplest way to get started, chatting to people who've already staged with you in the past, easiest way.
Very good. And apart from Boostly, you also sit on the board of the Short-Term Accommodation Association. What's the sort of industry perspective on direct bookings, and how does it alter how you look at regulation and how that's changing the industry?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very new to the board. I don't really understand what they want from me on this board. I'm there and I've been to a few meetings, and it's fascinating to get the inside perspective, right? Because from before, I looked at it and it was just like bird's eye, pie in the sky. That is insane what they're doing. And once you get in there and you get from the other side, and to see like how these regulators think and how these politicians think, it's just networking. End of the day, it's mad how it all works, and with whose wheels you have to grease, and, and all the things you have to do to sort of get your perspective across. But I feel like what the STAA do really well, fits similar to PASC, and obviously what Fiona's doing up in Scotland and all the ones around the world, is you've got to be at the table, because if you're not at the table, you're lunch. And I feel like all of the regulation bodies that I've met, seen, heard, and all the politicians I've spoken to and whatnot, it's super important to have a voice. Because if you're not have a voice, and if you haven't got your in their ear, then they just go off what they're told. And they get told so many things from so many angles, from so many perspectives, from so many biases. And if they just go purely off the media, which is mad, or if they go off the public, which are being fed by the media, which are obviously picking a fight, which obviously is against short-term rental accommodation, which is obviously being paid by a sector that is obvious, that I'm not going to say, then it's going to be hard for them to make a decision unless there was a body like the STAA sort of showing that this isn't just Airbnb guru scams. This isn't get-rich-quick schemes. There are people out there that are providing a phenomenal service, that are pumping so much money into the local economy, that are creating so many local jobs that you'll never hear from on insert media of choice or insert red paper of choice. So that's why it's super, super, super important. Whether direct bookings does anything, I haven't got a clue. To be honest, I don't think they even know what a direct booking is. They all still think the industry is just called Airbnb, but this is just, that's testament to Airbnb's fantastic marketing and branding. But what can we do as a service in an industry? What do we provide? That's what we've got to tell these people who are making the decisions at the top.
Yeah, I think in certain regulations, like for example the 90-day cap that we have in London, the enforcement of that, it almost relies on a few strong players that the regulators can collaborate with, and make sure that you're not getting your 90 days on Airbnb and you get your 90 days on Booking and 90 days on Expedia, and then 90 days somewhere else. And so I think in order to make regulation work, it sort of has to be a bit enforceable. And of course, like once you have a direct relationship between a guest and a host, it changes that a little bit, because it might be that much harder to actually control. But I'm a little bit outside of my own wheelhouse here, so I'm not
I
sure.
think at the end of the day, everybody wants this industry of short-term rentals to be more professional, right? It will weed out the scumbags, and it will just, something I learned very early on, the cream always rises to the top, right? And I come from a bed and breakfast and a small hotel background. The loops and the hoops that we have to jump through just to open is insane, with like fire inspections and PSR and yada, 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 all these boring things where, like I said at the start, there is a a part of short-term rentals, which is so easy. I could literally, if a house over the road, I could go grab it. I could, it's up for rent at the moment. I could go, listen, I'll rent this off you and I'll rent it on Airbnb. Sound good, brilliant. I can go get that properties on pictures done today on my phone, go list it on Airbnb. It's live tomorrow. I could have people in it tomorrow. All right. And so there has to be something done about that to turn this into being more professional. Yes. Regulation is a good thing. Yes. But fair regulation. The problem is when you start doing this, when there isn't regulation, is that everybody attaches their own bullshit onto it and their own agenda onto it. And then what happens on the back of it is that unfair regulation comes in. And that's not what we want, right? And obviously, there's a certain sector within our industry that is putting pressure on said politicians to do something about this, because when somebody stays in a short-term rental, it's taking them away from their part of the sector, again, without naming who it is. So yeah, it has to be more professionalized. No one's doubting that. But at the same time, it has to be fair. And that's not just the UK. That's not just the north of England. That's not just Scotland, England, Wales, whatever. It has to be all over. And, unfortunately, there are lots of examples of how not to do this, aka Scotland. Just go and speak to Fiona, the amazing Fiona Campbell up there. She will tell you everything that they're doing wrong. And unfortunately, they've had to go through that. Now, luckily, coming back to England and the STAA, is that they can look at that as the case of how not to do it. And so hopefully, with all this being said and all these things that are going to happen and whatever happens, who knows what's going to happen in the future of regulations. But my hope is we can get through this next stage, whether it's a year, 18 months, 24 months, because there's loads of stuff that's going to happen in all the industries. AI is going to disrupt so much. But if we can get through these next 18, 24 months, the other side of it, and if you're still here, brilliant. Because this decade, we've had to deal with a lot. It's only 6 years in, and there's a lot has happened to the world in this last 6 years. And I think if you've made it so far, congratulations, well done. If you can stick it out for, let's just say, another 24 months, the other side of this, brilliant. Because it will weed out the crap, the cream rises to the top, and there's going to be a lot of benefits for those who do.
Yeah, I think there's a whole lot more to come in this decade. You mentioned AI, and of course, that has completely changed how we do marketing. It's automated a lot of the industry, and we are at the sort of still early days, I would say, with a lot of hosts adopting this, and there are many different solutions. And so, how do you see AI coming into the kind of marketing that you do, and what is the current sort of best practice for using AI to get direct bookings?
Yeah, it's kind of new now, but it kind of isn't, right? Everybody knows what it is. Everybody's had to play with an LLM, large language model, at least once, right? Some people have given it a go and have loved it. Some people have given it a go and have hated it. It's got to a point now where you have to be using it. And it can help you with so many ways that people still probably aren't aware of. So I am talking about it definitely to our hosts. I've got a whole training section on AI in itself. I feel like we have to be careful right now because so many people are just using AI to produce 100% of their content, as in the pictures, the videos, the caption. And about a year ago, the only people that were really using AI were business owners and geeks. Now, everybody's using it. I was with my friends at the weekend, and none of them are business owners. They've got jobs. And even they were talking about how they use it. My kids are using it, you know what I mean? And people can spot AI content a mile off because at the end of the day, it's giving everybody the same copy. It's giving everybody those same M dashes. It's giving everybody those same emojis, and everybody just copies and pastes it without auditing it or editing it, giving them their own voice. And it's otherwise known as AI slop, right? And you can 100% use AI. I use AI. I mean, we talk about AI, but AI is basically Grammarly, right? Grammarly I've used since 2017. It's a fantastic tool. It helps me with my grammar because even though I've released a book that sold over 100,000 copies, I can't spell for shit. My grammar is shocking. I had to hire the amazing Neely Khan to help me copyright the book because I couldn't do it. So the problem is, though, is that people are literally using AI to come up with a caption or a post, and they whack it on LinkedIn and they don't even check what it's being said, and it just looks crap. It doesn't read well. It is what it is, right? And that's the problem, is that they're literally over reliant on AI, just like they're over reliant on Airbnb. So for me, it's like a rock and a hard place because maybe that's the wrong expression, but for me, let's just say I love see people post more because it took me years to convince people to post more on social media. But at the same time, I'm now numb to an AI post, right? I see it and I go, all right. And that's the sort of the worrying part when it comes to marketing. Where do I see it genuinely helping? Well, I think we've already seen it. Guest relations, guest communication, insane, right? Speaking from experience, somebody that spoke to thousands of people a year, I got to a point in the season where I just wished that somebody would just have a piece of paper stapled to my head with the most common questions that a guest had. So I could just stand there and they would just, be able to read it. Having questions come in at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning, if you've got international guests, or just having that same old question time and time again in an email is so demoralizing. And you can hire people, absolutely, to do it. But now there's an AI bot that doesn't get tired, that doesn't complain, that doesn't go ill, doesn't have Christmas, that doesn't have parties, that doesn't have hangovers or whatever, and they're just perfect every time with their response. And that is massively helping already. There's some amazing solutions, third-party solutions that deal with this, and there's PMSs that are building it into their solution now, so that's great. And I still think we're just scratching the surface. The next thing and the next evolution of this, truly, I think, is robots. It won't happen in 2026, but 2027, I feel like we're going to see it. 2026 is going to be the year of driverless cars. It's already started. There was a big CES conference in America that showcased that. I think 2027 is when robots come in. And when that happens, I feel like that's the next way it's going to help operators more than what we even realize. And that's exciting. That's interesting. But interesting to see how that goes.
Are you thinking about like the humanoid robots that are quite general? Or are you talking about more specific ones like
these
vacuum
humanoid
cleaners?
ones? There's ones that Teslas are creating, these neobots. Maybe these first generation are going to be awful, but I feel like that is going to be the next sort of stage and how it's going to help our industry.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I saw two of the new self-driving cars in London yesterday, and they're not accepting guests yet, but it's gonna come anytime.
Yeah.
So alongside Boostly, you've also grown a very strong personal brand, and this seems like something that was quite intentional from the beginning. What advice would you give to others who want to also like use their personality as part of their business brand?
I wouldn't say it was intentional. The reason why I started doing it is because this is back in 2016. So these daily vlogs, like Casey Neistat, I was watching them all the time and I absolutely loved them. Casey Neistat was doing it. Other people were doing it. And one of the things that we first did when I started Boostly was sell everything and traveled the world with my family. And as we were doing it, my wife thought it'd be a good idea to like vlog it with daily posts. So we spent 3 to 4 months in 2017 doing this, and I was doing it every day. So we were posting, but we were doing it on our personal. And when I got back, I just naturally transitioned on from doing it instead of on the account my wife set up to doing it for Boostly. And I started doing daily posts every day, documenting the story. And it's just funny now how everybody does it in their own different ways. It's like this daily vlogging has evolved over time. And I feel like the reason why it worked is that people buy from people, right? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you do. And I feel like that resonated most. I was one of the first on LinkedIn to do it. And I've never been very good at it. I've never gone super viral. I haven't got hundreds of thousands of followers or anything like that or whatever. But I just think it's just resonated, and it resonated with the right people, and it's just grown. And I've just continued to do it. I feel like now in 2026, if you're not posting content, you're just going to be invisible. And the more, coming back to the AI slop, the more that you can be personal, the more that you can document and tell a story and get good at telling stories, the more you're going to stand out. Would I do it again any differently? No. It's been everything. Like, it's opened up so many doors just from doing it. And like I say, I've never been good at it. I've just learned it as I go. But I can say that it has truly been the best thing that I have done. One thing I will say as a word of warning, what can I say? How much can I say? So 2024, I potentially went through a buyout. It didn't happen. It went very far down the line. And one of the things that I would say is that there's loads of ways to sell a business. There's loads of ways to exit. And my way of exiting got very pigeonholed because I am everybody looked at Boostly as Mark Simpson as Boostly, right? The people that were interested in acquiring us weren't so much interested in Boostly, but we wanted to acquire me. And so if anybody is starting a business to look at potentially exiting it, yes, have a personal brand, but don't make it everything about the business. And now I've come to the realization that I'm never going to exit Boostly. This is going to be me forever. And I'm fully on board of it. I used to get annoyed when people say, "Oh, you've just got a lifestyle business." I was like, "This isn't a lifestyle business." I'd work frigging hard for this to be a lifestyle business. But now I've sort of changed my mindset to go, I'm cool with this being a lifestyle business. If this means that we get to do all the things that we do with the travel that we get to do as a family and all that, I'm totally cool with that. But it does have its warnings if you are going to document everything and be synonymous with your brand. So that's what I would just say.
Yeah, I think back to your earlier point on the AI slop that people recognize it. I think people can also recognize a genuine person, and it's almost becoming more rare when there is so much noise around. But that's great advice. What else would you do differently in the first 12 months if you were starting Boostly again?
Oh, that is a fantastic question. So I never had a business plan. I never knew what I was going to do. I just did it. And I did it and, started on my own with no savings really. And I had 2 kids at this point with a third on the way. I did it because I spent the last 7 years being sort of shackled to the family business, as in I always had to be there to work. If I tried to have a day off, there's always going to be questions. And so when we had the opportunity to sell the business and move on, set up my own thing, I wanted it to be like really virtual. I didn't want to be shackled to one place because we wanted to travel. With that being said, like, the lessons that I learned were insane. Like for example, for the first year, I didn't realize I had to pay this thing called tax. And then all of a sudden, one day I had this tax bill and I was like, I ain't got that money. I had $2,000 coming in. I was spending $2,000. And then all of a sudden the accountant goes to me going, yep, so your tax bill is going to be this much. And I was like, I ain't got that. So, I've learned so much along the way. I feel like if I was to do anything differently, it would be to be in more sort of mastermindy type groups or just people that I could touch on. I've never had a mentor per se, but just having somebody just to sort of show me the way, it always helps a little bit more. And, remove your ego from the business. I really was against anybody trying to help. If I know what I'm doing, it'll be fine, but I know that I could have done a lot more, a lot sooner, a lot easier. If I'd have done so. But again, like it's hard because these last 10 years, I've learned so much. I know that for whatever reason, if like somebody snapped the fingers and I didn't have Boostly and I went back to square one and I had to start again. I have learned so much that I could put into any business now and instantly be able to hit the ground running. But yeah, so many things I did wrong. The tax one was a big one, but I managed to get through that, so we're all right.
I think every entrepreneur has similar stories. Like if you knew everything when you started, I think it's unlikely that you would get started the way you.
Yeah, having that naivety. Yeah, having that naivety. And again, I was like a young 30-year-old, and I was speaking to older people, and so that older than me anyway, and so that instant thing is, oh, you're this fresh-faced kid. What do you even know you're doing? I had to, like I say, we talk about hospitality. I had no listing site I could put my details on and get bookings in. I had to like build a brand, drag people kicking and screaming to come and work with me, you know. But it worked, and at the end of the day, the product worked. People related, people loved it, people spoke about it, and it's just the referral network just grew and grew and grew and grew.
Yeah, and you were solving a real problem that is even more pertinent today. So I think that's another key to success.
Thank you.
And finally, we always ask this, like, what's the most unexpected thing that's happened to you while building Boostly?
The most unexpected thing while building Boostly, I honestly feel like the decision to write that book was crazy. It came to me when I had COVID. So I just got diagnosed with COVID, couldn't move, couldn't leave the house. We were in Spain. They were very strict on it. And I was like, right, I've been putting off writing a book for a while. I just joined this book writing course, which is a Zoom thing. So far, I might as well do it. And within 6 weeks, I had the idea, the skeleton and whatnot. And in 2022, released it. And once I released that book, so many opportunities just opened, including going to America. And again, just getting on the right stages at the right times, being in the right rooms has just opened so many doors. So I always attribute it, there's like certain hockey stick moments where you go from like this, like, and that was one of them, 110%.
Very cool. Very cool. So write a book.
Yeah, write a book. Well, I guess no, I wouldn't say write a book, because now everybody's written the book, and I feel like with AI, people aren't reading business books as much. I feel like they can just go and ask the question. But what I would say to that is the feedback and the takeaway is keep your ears and eyes open to unexpected opportunities when they land. Don't just dismiss them. Just take that leap, and it could just be that thing you were waiting for.
Those are excellent closing words. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Mark. It's been great having you.
Thank you for having me. Loved it.
Thank you for listening to Minute by Minute. If today's episode gave you fresh insight, be sure to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or YouTube. Share this episode with your team and follow us on social media to continue the conversation and exchange your own operational stories. To learn more about privacy-first property protection, visit MΗNUT.com. Until next time, make every minute count to maintain your property's safety.